Hey everyone, I'm Devin, your friendly neighborhood board gamer, and this is Devin Talks Tabletop, the YouTube channel where the games are made up. What I say doesn't matter, and unfortunately, my tea is too hot to really do a timestamp. I would scald my mouth. This is Marvel Zombies. I am going to do kind of an unboxing and an overview at the same time because I have played this game 2 or 3 times now, at least originally on TTS, but then recently, since some Wave 1 shipping has been underway, I was able to play it at Alex's when I was up there last time. Now I think we got a few rules wrong, and I think specifically it's Alex's familiarity with Zombicide has actually made it to where the 1 or 2 rules that are different in Marvel Zombies are where we messed up. But for the most part, it's a decently error-free gameplay that you can go check out. Box fart. And we got to play with Travis Chance, who is a designer over at CMON, and there's some free content there if you guys want to go ahead and scan that. I'll just let you scan that. So hope you enjoy that. I don't need it, whatever it is. So whichever one of you scans it, let me know. Marvel Zombies is in the Zombicide universe. It's a Zombicide game, as you can see here and here. It says that, so it's within that universe, but it does do a few things differently. Typically, in a Zombicide game, what you are doing is you are acting as humans, and you are trying to fight off zombies, whether that's in a Western setting in Undead or Alive, whether that is in a medieval setting in Black Plague, whether that is in a modern setting in Zombicide 1 and 2, or whether that is in... Is there another Zombicide? I think there's another Zombicide. I just can't think of... Is Green Horde? No, Green Horde isn't... I think that's just tied to Black Plague. Invader. That's the other one, which I think is more sci-fi setting. So Invader is the other one that I couldn't remember. Marvel Zombies, on the other hand, actually has the players, 1 to 6 of them, acting as the zombies. And so you are zombie superheroes, and you are still sentient. You're still, have the presence of mind to follow through with what you want to do. So you actually are going around, and instead of fighting against different types of zombies, you're fighting against S.H.I.E.L.D. and against the superheroes who have not turned over to zombies yet. So let's unbox and see what you got. And in here it shows kind of the main 6 zombies that you get to play as in this game. You've got Iron Man, Deadpool, who's got Agent of Hydra Bob's head in his hand. And then you've got Hulk here. You've got Wasp. You have got Captain America with the Winter Soldier's metal arm right there. And then you have got Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel here with which looks to be maybe Super Skrull's head. Some type of Skrull's head is in her grasp. So inside here you've got all of your cardboard pieces. You've got your main areas that you're located to. You've got your player cards that will go into your plastic bases. You have got all of the different things that you'll fight up against. You've got your Marvel Zombie, spawn deck that's going to have regular troopers. It's going to have fast specialists, and then it's going to have hulking guards, and then superheroes as well. But I think the element of this that most people are probably excited to check out are the miniatures. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I'm going to try and open it up to where I can show things from the front if need be. So if you have not played Zombicide before, these are the player boards. You're going to have your card here, which denotes what character you're playing as. If you decide to consume any particular bystanders, because you have different colored bases here, so I guess I can show it on the top down, and we'll see how well it shows off. So the green heroes here are the zombies that you get to play as. The blue heroes here are the superheroes that are alive that you're facing off against. And then you have different levels of bosses. You have troopers, which are the weakest. You have specialists, which are the fast ones that get 2 actions. And then you have the guards, which take 2 hits to take them down. But then you also have these other colored bases. These are the bystanders. These are kind of typically, sidekicks is not really the right term, but it's almost like the minor characters that are still very familiar to people that know the comics and the movies well, from all different elements of the story. So you've got, Bob, Agent of Hydra here. You've got Blind Owl here from Deadpool. This looks to be Okoye from Black Panther. And this looks like, oh gosh, what's her name? She's the Shield agent. I can't remember her name right now. And then you've got Ross here from Hulk. And let's see, which one is this? This one looks like oh my goodness, Coulson, Agent Coulson. So you've got all of those bystanders here. And the reason why I was bringing up the bystanders specifically is on your player board, you've got an area for your player card, your health, and then over here is an area where if you decide to actually consume bystanders, because in this game you have a health tracker here, or a hunger tracker, and when you get to the top of the hunger track, you can't do any action other than eating, or it's called devouring. So when you decide to devour, if you end up devouring a bystander that you are, in the same space as or adjacent to, then you can go ahead and take their card, which gives you a special ability to power up. And that is in addition to these zombie traits that you can take on your turn as part of an action. And then these zombie traits allow you to do special things as well. So this is your player board, and of course it also, if you're familiar with Zombicide, it tracks your experience, and your experience ramps you up to be able to do extra actions and more powerful actions on your turn, but also the higher you get into the experience thresholds into these different colors, it also activates more aggressive spawning of what used to be the zombies and is now the, shield agents. All right. I think that's enough of a description here. This is just a loose slider. I think I can slot that right here. And there you go. Now it's back in and very comfortably going where it needs to go. Okay, so as you can see, these are all of your heroes. You have got Wasp, who, again, I don't have the exact level of setup that allows for a maybe more effective showing off of these miniatures. But they are very, very well sculpted. Really a lot of detail here. I think the zombie ones are more exciting because they're kind of like a different style maybe than most stuff that you typically see. They have a lot of detail to them. So you've got your zombie heroes, your alive heroes, some of your bystanders, your troopers and stuff. And of course, this is just the very, very base of it. Okay, so when you get down to it, you've got a bunch more troopers, a bunch more specialists, a bunch more guards, and then of course more bystanders here. So at the end of the day, if you are familiar with CMON campaigns, this is just the first box. This is not, the stretch goals. This is not the other boxes that come along with a full pledge. This is just the base box of Marvel Zombies, and as such, it doesn't have the probably absurd variety that you're used to with a full-on Marvel experience in terms of CMON especially. So you've got all of the troopers here, and I think possibly the number of troopers and specialists and guards should signal how rough this can get on the board. Like a ridiculous amount of things can spawn, and it can seem very, very overwhelming. But again, there are ways around that, and also it's not always about killing everything that's on the board. Sometimes it is just about mitigation and navigation on the board. So this is that core box that's inside here. You've got all of your heroes and all of the things that you are going up against. And once again, that's pretty much all you need in here. And if you're looking for a really, really big close-up of all of the minis, this is unfortunately not the place for that. So I do believe, based off of my experience playing the game and also from the campaign, there is a version of this where you can play as humans going up against the zombies. However, that is not within this core box. That is an expansion content that you will have to get, or that if you did get, it comes in a different box. Not that you... I don't actually know the where the divide is on the exclusivity of the content that was available on the campaign versus what's going to go to retail. I do know that the retail version if I'm correct, is actually a different version of this core box called Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, I believe. Anyways, moving on to what's still in this box. These are the zombie traits, so these are ones that you can take on your turn, and when you flip them over, they give you abilities. So this one says Frenzied, discard during your turn and increase your hunger, perform one free attack action. So a lot of times these will force you to increase your hunger, which then gets you closer to that stage where you need to only devour or move on your turn and nothing else. However, they do give you a lot of flexibility in granting you extra actions and stuff like that. For example, this one says discard during your turn, select one zone within range 2. All enemies in that zone activate and attempt to move towards your zone. So if you're trying to lure them away or other stuff, it does give you a lot of agency and player flexibility and strategy that you can implement as long as you're being careful about managing your hunger. Discard during your turn, perform one free devour attack. So that's also nice as well. All of these can be grabbed as part of your actions on your turn. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you have your spawn deck here, which is going to include regular troopers. It's going to include some guards. It's going to include specialists, and then it includes superheroes, as well as bystanders, maybe in this deck. That bystander deck is right here. So, if you're familiar with Zombicide, it's going to sound, comfortable to you, and it's not going to be too different. If you're not familiar with Zombicide, the way that it goes about is on the board, you have these spawn zones, and these spawn zones are laid out around the map, and then once the heroes have all taken their turn, the enemies will activate, the ones that are on the board will activate, and then new ones will spawn based off of those clockwise locations that have that spawn thing. So on here you have your zombies. Actually, I said this, but it might very well, I'm not entirely sure if these zombies, maybe they do have it within this particular book, the ability to do human heroes versus zombies, because this has zombie cards and like spawn cards for these particular guys. So maybe they do have it within here, or maybe this is just the preparation for when the other content comes out. Let me see if there's a variant real quick. Let me see if there's a variant. Hero mode. Okay. I was maybe mistaken, and they maybe do have it in this base mode. All right. These missions require the rules and components found in the Marvel Zombies X-Men Resistance core box in order to be played. So, I was not wrong. Okay, good to know. So, the other thing, X-Men Resistance, that one is a whole other box that you need to have. But if you got this box and that box, it allows you to play both versions of the game. So this is simply giving you the components to where you'll be ready when you do have that version of the game. The rest of this deck includes the different bystanders and then even more cards that you can have here, including the superheroes and your bystanders. So, I wasn't wrong. Look at that. Look at that. For once, Devin wasn't wrong. The way that the combat works, if you're familiar with Zombicide, is going to be, not a shock. It includes rolling dice. The different attacks that each hero have, those have a result that you need to get or get above that. So maybe a 3+ or a 4+ or a 5+, depending on whatever attack it is and which superhero you're doing. And then when you roll it, if you ever roll, that was a horrible roll, but if you ever roll these hunger symbols, you actually increase your hunger. Typically, I think, by the amount of dice that you roll. So you can very quickly scale up to the need to devour based off of having a poor dice roll. But also the amount of dice that you roll higher than your threshold, say if it was 5+, allows you to do numerous hits on creatures, which is you definitely need to hit more than one creature if you can, because there are a lot of them. They spawn at a horrifying pace. So I'm not going to unbox all of these for you, but they show the locations, and these all stack together, and they create, you know, a 2x3 or a 2x2 or a 3x3 grid of locations, and that creates your maps for your different missions or scenarios. And the scenarios are going to be where the gameplay differs outside of what heroes you're using and what traits you get and stuff like that, because the missions here in zombie mode all give you a particular objective and special rules, and they give you the setup. And so I like that these different elements give you complexity and a different type of gameplay experience. So it's not just the exact same every time. I mean, it's the core gameplay loop in terms of the players going and then enemies activating and spawning and all of that stuff. But the special setup and the special rules and all of that stuff is very satisfying. So, yep, this is Marvel Zombies, guys. I enjoyed it when I played. This is my first time getting in on Zombicide. So some elements of it I'm still, you know, shaky on because I've played with people who have played the game frequently. But this has probably been the most compelling Zombicide for me. At least I have not played Black Plague. I have it right over there. I just haven't gotten it to the table yet. So I do know that that is a favorite of Alex and other people as well for the difficulty of the game. I do think that Marvel Zombies is also tough. We won by the hair on our chinny chin chin, the very first scenario that I did when I played on TTS. And then most recently, I guess spoiler alert, we did not win for the video that we did on Alex's channel. And that has created, I think, a very exciting level of anticipation for me in wanting to see how difficult the game is moving on. And I think that, you know, I think the interesting thing is we didn't really have like necessarily a game plan going into the game where we lost. And I think that the nature of these scenarios actually create the need to, man, I just can't get this card open. Can't get this open. We're just going to sit here while I don't do this. There we go. So I think it creates a scenario in which you really do need to assess what's the smartest play. It's not just about moving around and smashing things. It is a lot more it's a lot more nuanced than that, I think, in what makes sense as best strategy moving forward. So sometimes, you know, you need to move through, I think, a little bit more cautiously. And I have never been necessarily a cautious person, but I'm excited to see what that's like when playing through the game. So I think that's pretty much it for me, guys. I'm just going to open these up so that I can then put them back in here, and I will deal with them later. Well, it's not going to go in, is it? It's not going to go in, guys, is it? Is it? It's not going in, guys, is it? It's not going in, guys, is it? I'm just going to get to the point where I think I'll probably just, you know, stop anytime soon. I'll just stop sometime soon. Sometime soon I'm going to stop. I'm just going to stop sometime soon. All right. I'm going to stop sometime soon. Sometime soon I'm going to stop. Sometime soon I'm going to stop. Sometime soon I'm going to stop. Timestamp.